Are you thinking about buying a home in the Bay Area in 2025 and think you can't afford it?
Today, we're going to show you some neighborhoods in the Inner East Bay that have single family homes that have sold for far less than the median price of a home in all of the Bay Area. Welcome back to Living in the Bay Area. If you want more videos like this one, make sure you hit the subscribe button below.
Let's get into it. Number 1 on our list is Eastmont.
Eastmont, as you might have guessed from the name, is in East Oakland. It borders Millsmont, the Eastmont Hills. It's positioned along two big thoroughfares, 73rd Avenue and MacArthur Boulevard. Before the freeway system came in, it was a major thoroughfare for people traveling from outside of Oakland. They would go through Bancroft Business, where the Eastmont Mall is. It's not a high walk score neighborhood. There are major transit lines that pass through 73rd and MacArthur Boulevard. And there are some creeks within the neighborhoods and some cul-de-sacs that are quieter, we can say that, quieter parts of the area. And there's some cute streets where they have a lot of those Tudor style homes that were built in the 1920s, 1930s.
In October of 2024, the median house price in Eastmont was $505,000.
There are a lot of Tudor style bungalows that are under 1,200 square feet. So that price reflects a smaller conventional home for that area. Lot sizes vary, 3,500. 5,000 square feet. The days on market was actually pretty competitive. I think it was 13, 14 days. That was the average timeline during more competitive times in the market. It's probably because of the price point. The lower price point of 520 to 540,000. That's far below Oakland's median sold price in October 2024.
These are 2-bedroom, 1-baths, typically.
Yeah, 1,100 square feet. You'd be lucky to get 1,300 square feet at that price. But what about lot size too? You're lucky if you get 5,000 square feet. We, in California, like you were saying, we're lucky to get 3,500 square foot lot that's flat and all usable is an added bonus for a home that you find under $550,000 because of the ADU laws and the expedited process that cities are supposed to have to add more living space.
Also, typically we'll see more of first-time home buyer loans and conventional loans in comparison to homes being purchased in cash, right?
In Eastmont, I do see a high percentage of FHA loans, which are 3.5% down payment loans. And I do see quite a few VA loans, Veterans Affairs loan products. So 0% down program.
Neighborhood number 2, Millsmont.
Millsmont neighbors Eastmont, but it's higher elevation. So not all the lots are flat, which is great if you want views. Not so great if you have drainage issues to fix. If you're trying to be close to downtown Oakland and you're a commuter to San Francisco, you're a little bit closer to those two destinations. Walk score is probably similar to Eastmont because of the hills, but along MacArthur Boulevard at the lower end of Millsmont, you've got that Thai place that's been there for years, I think decades. Mills is around the corner, now called Northeastern University, right? Mills has large parks and places you can walk your dog.
As the dog is walking
Public pools that, well, they're not public pools, but they have pools that you can pay to use. Their recreation centers are open to the public. So there's some of the advantages of being in Millsmont.
The median price point, I should say, is between $585,000 to $595,000.
Still under $650,000 and still well under $890,000. The median was 28 days on market, which was double the last neighborhood Eastmont that we went over. So even though you have a higher median price point, you still can find homes under $600,000 that are at least 2 bedrooms. And homes that are on sloped lots tend to also have basement space. It's a wonderful bonus when you get ceiling heights of 7 feet because that means you can convert it to habitable space for the city of Oakland.
Neighborhood number 3, St. Elizabeth, Oaktree area.
It's around Fruitvale and the Fruitvale BART. It's more dense, but there are neighborhoods like Oaktree and St. Elizabeth that have more greenery if you're off the main streets, if you're off of Fruitvale. I think I've talked about some of the cul-de-sac areas in Upper Fruitvale before and how it's a world of difference in terms of noise and green space if you're in the side streets versus some of those thoroughfares. But of course, the advantage is that you're close to Fruitvale BART. You are close to all of the great restaurants and bakeries that are down in the Fruitvale area and some of the cultural centers, the things that make Fruitvale Fruitvale. There are a ton of mom and pop restaurants and shops along Fruitvale Avenue. There is Four Honeys Furniture, which is a great place to find thrift furniture, antique furniture, mid-century modern furniture sometimes. You can follow their Instagram page. There's Aloha Club.
White Pepe's Kitchen. And oh my God.
Otais, I'm not even pronouncing it right, but it's great Mexican food.
I do want to highlight with White Pepe's Kitchen. It is an indigenous spot and it is run by indigenous women, and they have a lot of food that is native to this area. So if you haven't checked that out, Please do.
That's cool. I haven't been there, so that's
haven't?
no, I haven't. The only place that I've been, I mean, I've been to Aloha Club, and I've been to, I shop at Four Honeys Furniture, but there's also that bakery in the Fruitvale shopping district. Or Fruitvale Marketplace. It's called Bakery del Sol. They have great tres leches cake. Even though this is a more densely populated industrial part of Oakland, there's some green space. There's Josie de la Cruz Park next to Sasso Creek, and there's another smaller park nearby. I forgot to mention Art House Studios. That's a great co-working space near Fruitvale that has lots of people in design work, photographers, videographers. Their studio space and event space is really cool. You could check that out if you don't decide to buy a house in the Fruitvale district.
Medium home pricing was $550.
These are all the homes that sold with conventional financing, VA or FHA. That's what I mean, a bank loan. None of these were fixers. Only one of them was occupied by an owner, which tends to bring the value. It sit longer on the market and bring the value down. Median days on market for this area was a lot higher. It was
50 days.
And it's worth mentioning too that the list price to sold price ratio was almost 1-to-1. So whatever it was listed for $549, it sold for $549, $550.
Neighborhood number 4, Havens Court.
Havens Court is in central East Oakland. People will refer to the streets in Oakland and Deep East Oakland too as like 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. So Havens Court is in the 60s and borders some major thoroughfares like International and 67th Ave. The homes, a lot of them I remember during the last peak time period were selling 3-bedroom, 2-baths, were getting renovated and remarketed for at least $650, $700 for 3-bedroom, 2-baths. That was an upper price point for that area, historical high for that area. Now prices have depreciated. So there's opportunity there. The homes tend to have larger lots and were built, I believe, in the 1920s and 1930s. Were bungalows, but were added on. You might see slightly higher square footage there, but Havens Court Boulevard itself is super wide and tree lined, which is part of what makes the aesthetic of the neighborhood so appealing. I do want to say with Havens Court, you're close to one of the public parks that we mentioned in another one of our videos. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I'll make sure that I do. It's Verdice Carter Park. I think it's one of the parks that got a grant from a national program recently to be renovated. There are also a lot of central bus lines that run down Havens Court Boulevard. It's not a high walk score neighborhood. A lot of folks recommend that you have a car to get around. Bancroft Business has a lot of fast food, but there are some mom and pop establishments nearby. There aren't a lot of amenities nearby. You do have some of these establishments. And you're close to a lot of AC transit lines, both Trans-Bay and local. And Fruitvale BART would probably be the closest BART station. In the last 3 months, there was a much higher volume of homes that sold.
The median price point in this area is $593,000. Average day on market is at 38 days in comparison to the other homes. We saw
That's the longest so far. Yeah. Or no, actually Fruitvale was longer. Longer days on market.
Lowest price point was $410 with an FHA loan. And the highest price point was at $850 with a conventional loan.
I think the $850,000 one, it was over, it might have been 2,000 square feet with a really large lot. Lots tend to be between 4,500 and 6,000 square feet. You get larger lots. The houses on Havens Court Boulevard especially are further back from the street. So it gives you that estate feel for a really dense city living. It was also Havens Court Boulevard, the one that I told you, the street that I told you is picturesque. It was right on Havens Court Boulevard. One that was affecting the median days on market though was one that set for over 160 days. So I took that out and that made the median days on market 23. So that's what happens.
And you're still dealing with another house that was sitting on market for 142 days. So.
Oh, let's take that off then. So 21, 22. Median days on market, 21 days, average days on market, 22. So that's 3 weeks on market. 14 days is what we saw in Eastmont with very little listing volume.
Number 5, Arroyo Viejo.
It's another central East Oakland neighborhood where homes, the median price of the home is below $650. We're gonna give you the stats in a second, but this borders Havens Court. There's not a ton to do within the neighborhood, but one of the largest parks.
Arroyo Viejo Recreation Center is one of the largest parks in the city of Oakland.
Technically, Lake Merritt is the largest central park, and this is the largest central park in Oakland that's managed by Oakland Public Works.
Yeah,
right?
city, yeah, parks and recreation. It's nice is recently they just had, they updated their baseball field and softball field, which is really amazing. And it's also a great gathering hub for people that want to throw events, birthdays, and just events in general. They have meeting rooms. They even have a commercial kitchen that you can use to rent.
Most parks in Oakland, I've talked about Bushrod Park a little bit, that have recreation centers. For some, you need more advance notice for these types of events. For that event center, you need 2 weeks.
At least 2 weeks to 30 days.
In terms of amenities or restaurants nearby, I have to mention JJ's Fish and Chicken. I love fried okra. There are very few places that have fried okra. There used to be that vegan place in Jack London Square.
Yeah.
So normally when I order to go, I order JJ's Fish and Chicken with fried okra.
I haven't been there.
Yeah, not many people live. Because it's in between 73rd International and Bancroft, there's a lot of fast food nearby, but that's one of the establishments that's faster food that I would go to because of the fried okra. Now we're gonna talk about the stats.
The median price in the area was $530,000 over the past couple of months. The median days on market were 25 days.
Well, that's longer than Eastmont. Significant streets or notable streets. Holly Street in this neighborhood, not in Eastmont. And that's Holly Street, which has a row of Tudor-style homes built in the late 1920s to mid-1930s. You do get more square footage in this neighborhood than what we saw in Eastmont. Mm-hmm. So one of the more highly priced homes, what did it sell for again?
It sold for $690,000, and that was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. In the area.
And yeah, much larger square footage, we think. So you're still paying a lower price per square foot.
Number 6. Ivywood.
Ivywood is the furthest east of any neighborhood we've talked about so far. Borders San Leandro, which is an advantage because you're not too far from East 14th Business District. A lot of the conveniences that are along East 14th Street, which is what International turns into. You're equidistant to Coliseum and the San Leandro, downtown San Leandro part. In terms of amenities, you might go to San Leandro, prefer to go to San Leandro over the Diamond District, Laurel in Oakland. Maybe a lot of folks who can't afford San Leandro's lowest price points consider these East Oakland neighborhoods that border San Leandro. Maybe they commute to Hayward or Fremont or another part of the peninsula and want something that's a little bit further east, so they're spending less time on their commute.
Median sold price in the area over the past couple of months was $510,000. The median days on market were higher in comparison to other areas at 46 days. The lowest house that sold was $400,000. And surprisingly, the highest price of homes sold in the area was $725,000.
That was a larger square footage home. It had 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and an attached garage, driveway space, a very large yard. So many of these homes had much larger lots than the neighborhoods we looked at before, anywhere from 5,000 to almost 7,000 square feet. Smallest lot size, I think, was 3,500. So you can get a smaller house with a much bigger lot and expandable space, buildable space, because this area is relatively flat for a lower price point in this part of Oakland. Last but not least, this is the furthest west neighborhood that we've mentioned so far. Highland Terrace, Tuxedo, Reservoir Hills area. Tuxedo neighborhood is one of my favorite, best kept secrets. It won't be a secret after this, but that area is close to Highland Hospital, near major thoroughfares in between 2 of our big freeways. But these neighborhoods are relatively quiet. They're higher in elevation, so for some of the homes you do get views. That also comes with the con of maybe not having a flat lot where all the lot square footage can be buildable or is more easily buildable. Even though you're in between these major thoroughfares of 14th Avenue and Fruitvale, and you're close to the freeway, there are more parks nearby. You can walk across a bridge near Redwood Day School to get to the Diamond District, our lower Laurel District. There are a lot of restaurants and bars once you cross that bridge, go over the freeway. There's also the Reservoir Hills recreation area. I think what's actually accessible is that, opposed to that reservoir area, is the William D. Wood Park. It's not very well maintained, but I used to take my dog there to play fetch. Whether or not dogs are officially allowed, I'm not sure. There's also the Manzanita Recreational Center. And Manzanita Seed Elementary School used to be more highly ranked by gradeschools.org. It's not so much anymore, but in talking about resale value for your home, even if you don't have school-age children, it's worth mentioning.
So the median price in the area is $630,000. Which is a lot higher than the numbers that we discussed in previous neighborhoods. The days on market were also lower in comparison at 24 days.
With the exception of Eastmont, because I think Eastmont was like 14 days.
13 days.
So 630,000, what was the highest priced property that sold? Actually, we took out some data, and that's because in Tuxedo, I was telling you about elevation. There are some streets within the Tuxedo district that have, again, those Tudor style homes that you can get in Eastmont and you can get in Arroyo Viejo on Holly Street, especially. They have larger lots and views, and because of that, there were 2 that recently sold on Sheffield. Were listed at 900, I think.
Yeah.
But they sold for 1.2 million, 1.24 million. So that would have, those are exceptions. That's an exceptional street. These 2 were renovated, 2,000 square foot plus Tudor style homes that sold for that much.
So the lowest sold home in the area sold for $360,000, if you can believe it.
That's a steal. I think that was a bank-owned property, but it was in relatively good condition. It sold for almost half of its list price. So you can get a bungalow. Let me just say, bank-owned properties, it's unfortunate situations, and also it's a rare thing that you see these days since the last financial crisis.
But it still does happen.
Another note about Sheffield Avenue, since we were talking about those properties in that street, you don't have any neighbors behind you. It's the park, and the incline of the property is steep, so there's no one who's going to build behind you. So that's another reason these homes sold for what they did. That wraps up our 7 more affordable homes in Oakland and in the Bay Area. Follow the next video for a more detailed breakdown of some of these neighborhoods and why the homes sold for the prices that they did in the last 3 to 6 months. And if you want more videos like this one, make sure to hit the subscribe button below.
Bye, y'all.